Hello, folks, and I'm Ryan Dunleavy,
I'm Ryan Zelinsky.
and welcome to the fourth episode of the Cubs Line podcast. As the Cubs had a rough loss 2-0 to the Washington Nationals, powered by Mackenzie Gore's really good pitching. It was a great pitcher's duel. I mean, if you are a big
Okay.
guy on pitching, it was a great game to watch. As Matthew Boyd and Mackenzie Gore both had great outings. Just 2 hits from the Nationals was about it, and the Cubs couldn't get the bats going. So you guys know the drill. How we're gonna start this off? Cards, Rye, look away. For those of you that don't know, I put card up, you guys see it, and he guesses it. All right, all good.
Okay.
Yep. So this guy's a utility man for the Dodgers. He's pretty much an everyday player. He was drafted by the Athletics. There's actually a guy on the Athletics now with the same name as him. He's a big left-handed
Oh,
bat, third base, second base, all
yeah, Muncie.
yeah,
Muncie.
Max Muncy. All right, next one. This is kind of a different card, but you should know him. Here you go. All good. All right, this guy went to Florida State and was a top prospect. He's a left-handed bat and a speedster outfielder on the Milwaukee Brewers. Starting right fielder. Left-handed bat.
Left-handed bat. Sal.
Yep, Sal Frelick. And then for last but not least, look away. All good. All right, this guy's the closer on the Oakland Athletics, one of the hardest throwers in baseball.
Mason Miller.
Yep, that would be correct. All right, so let's get into digging into the game. Cubs, this loss moves them down to 38 and 23, which they're still in the lead in the NL Central. The Cardinals are 4.5 games back of them. I was going to check their score from tonight. Uh,
I'll check that.
yeah, that's what I was doing. I believe they're still playing right now. I could be
Oh,
wrong.
they got postponed, so they'll
Oh
have
yeah,
a
that's
doubleheader tomorrow.
Yep, so that's a big watch as Cubs fans. And
Yeah,
then
we'll be
in
watching that game.
the NL Central, the Pirates reversed the Astros and won 3-0. Um, McCutcheon hit a sac fly. And it was about it. It was kind of a boring game, honestly. And then uh,
As all Pirates games are.
the Brewers got their revenge on the Reds and pummeled them 9-1. The Brewers going into yesterday, I did not realize we're on an 8 game win streak. So now they are 5 games
Oh.
above 500, and they are starting to get rolling.
Wait,
Churro.
the Rockies swept.
And I want to note the Rockies swept the Marlins.
Live reaction right here. You got to be kidding me.
Yeah, I
Oh,
saw this
Marlins, what are we
earlier, man.
doing?
I mean, I'm happy for
Wow.
them. I didn't think they were.
Let's clap it up for the
Yeah, let's
Rockies.
clap it up. Rockies, great job. And another thing I wanted to note was the Red Sox beating the Angels 11-9, and Cedro Rafaela's home run, dude. That had to be 300 feet. It barely went out. Like, you know how the
Oh,
pole's
the
been this
pesky
year?
ball.
Yep, it was like right there. I was watching that live. I'm like, no way Rafaela just hit a walk off. That was a good
Yeah.
watch as a baseball fan. I mean, it was up and down. So yeah, let's get into the Cubs game today and let's recap this. So I was watching this live actually. Start of the game, Ian Happ, little line drive single to Alex Call. Not a hard hit ball, but does a job. And Suzuki with another good ball single. Carson Kelly, a good ball up the middle. This loads the bases, no outs. Like you're like, let's pummel this guy. Let's get 4 or 5 runs in the first. PCA had another really bad strikeout in the dirt. He's got to stop with this. I mean, thing about PCA is one day
Yeah.
he's 4 for 4 with 2 bombs and a triple and 2 RBIs and just a great day at the ballpark. And then another day he's 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts. Anything on PCA's consistency from you?
I agree with you. I mean, he's got the potential to be one of the best player. I mean, he is one of the best players in baseball, but he just has the potential to solidify himself, and he has no discipline. So,
Yep.
we've
And
talked about
then
it before, but
Dansby Swanson, great day yesterday. In the not even a great day. He went 0 for 4, but he had 2 sac flies in the 6 hole. Craig moves him back up to the 5 hole, and another bad strikeout that would have been ball 4. Walked in a run, and then if you're Nico, there's nothing you really can do, and just a weak pop out to wow in fall territory. I mean, what do you got on that first inning? That can't happen.
I mean, yeah, when you're going against a guy who, again, the record doesn't show how good he is, but he's a really good pitcher. When you get an opportunity like that early in the game, you got to take
You
advantage,
got to
especially
fumble him,
because
yeah, yeah,
your pitcher was dealing today.
yep.
Yeah, it's a tough loss.
And then another thing I want to note is another bad PCA strikeout with Ian Happ in scoring position. PCA goes golfing again at a low pitch. Not not good at all.
Yeah,
Rough. And then the first, so the perfect game going into the sixth. Nazem Nunez walked, and then he got picked off. So it was 2 outs in the inning, and Robert Hassel broke up the no hitter with a rocket uh, into right field. It was 105. So that was the first hit of the ball game for them. And then Ahmed Rosario does what he does best, and he hits very well off of lefties. And I was watching the Marquee pregame show, and Alex and JD were talking about you gotta limit Ahmed Rosario. He's very dangerous versus lefties, and he leaves the yard. It wasn't like the best hit ball, kind of barely got out. It was
yeah.
97.3 miles an hour and 350 feet. And it was his third home run of the year. Yeah, I don't. Ryan, you got anything on that? I know I don't really have much.
I mean, not really to talk about. It was enough to win the game. Even if the score was 1-0, they still would have won. So I mean, not much, not much. Bad hit. I mean, bad luck. Like you said, it barely got out.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
And then Alex Call hit a leadoff single, and then Nazem Nunez hit a double on a ground ball to Hap right down the line. And then he stole third base, and the Cubs put in Genesis Cabrera, and he gets 2 groundouts to get out of the inning. Then in the ninth inning, PCA, another strikeout. The second pitch, he went golfing again. Like his control is all over the place. It's very inconsistent. Then Dansby with a good single. So you got runner on first. You got some life. Nico flies out to right field. Ball was pretty well hit, honestly, but then you got Michael Bush with a single. You got a runner on third. Like, at that point, you got some life. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, obviously with Tucker coming up, I was like, oh boy, like anything in the gap is going to tie the game,
and
especially
then
with them
Chase
pinch.
Tucker looks at 2 fastballs right down the pipe. Or he
I'm
looked at
fine with
one,
it.
fouled off two,
Yeah,
hit a weak ground ball, and that was the ball game. So Ryan,
yeah.
what do you got on today's ball game? Anything you want to note before we get into the pitching?
I like Genesis Cabrera again. I like what he's been doing. He threw 6 pitches, 5 for strikes. But yeah, like you said, in the ninth inning, Kyle Tucker comes up with life. I'm fine with him taking the first pitch because he hasn't seen a pitch since Sunday. Um,
Yeah,
but but yeah, you can't really rely on him. I mean, you can. Let me take that back. You can, but
you
it's like,
can, but yeah, I get it. Not every
yeah,
game. It's gonna be Kyle Tucker. 2 guys on,
exactly.
he hits a home run to tie the game. You can't rely on him. You gotta have other back.
Taking it, like, exactly. Yeah. I mean, again, like we said, in the first inning, if you score 3 in the first inning, like you should have, you win the game, right?
Um,
So
yeah, and some other things I want to note. Matthew Boyd had a perfect game through 5 innings, and the Cubs were 0 for 5 with runners in scoring position. So
it's like 2024 all over again.
let's get into the pitching. Matthew Boyd, he gets the loss. I mean, that should not have been a loss. That moves.
This is one of the losses. Like we say, the records don't matter when you look at pitchers. This is one of the losses that you're gonna look at that he lost the game, but you're not gonna. Some people won't realize that he had a perfect game through 5 innings. So
Yeah,
it's
seven
tough.
point 7.1 innings, 4 hits, 2 runs, and both of them were earned. 1 walk, 6 Ks, and 1 homer. So moving to a 3.01 ERA. So honestly, with 2 more good starts, he'll be below a 3 ERA, and he'll be at maybe a 2.9 ERA, which is great for him
Yeah,
going into All Star break. And then Cabrera comes in, gets 2 outs, no hits, no runs, moves him to a 2.53 ERA. I think this is going to be a guy that Craig can start to trust. I don't know about you, but that is that's my guess personally. And
yeah.
then
I honestly think
you,
I honestly am starting to really trust him late in the game. He's shown kind of what I had hoped. So we'll see if he can keep that rolling into the break.
yeah, and there's kind of a funny stat I wanted to go into before we go into Nationals pitching. Nazem Nunez stole a base, got caught stealing, and picked off. So he had the hat trick on the bases, a pickoff, a
Yep.
caught stealing, and a stolen bag. So that's kind of funny to me. Mackenzie Gore goes 7 innings pitched, 3 hits, no runs, 1 walk, 7 Ks, losing to a 2.87 ERA, and this makes him go to 3-5 on the year. And then in relief, Brad Lord got the hold. He went 1 inning, no hits, 1 walk, no runs, no Ks. Just moved him to a 4.04 ERA, and then Kyle Finnegan comes in for the save. 17th on the year, 1 inning pitch, 2 hits, 1 K. This moves him to a 2.1 or 2.49 ERA. Rye, I think Kyle Finnegan's a guy that if I'm the Cubs, I target at the deadline. What do you think on that?
Yeah, we talk about how we want them to get an arm, right? I don't think that they're going to be in the mix for any superstars like a Skeens. I would love to see it, but I just don't think it's going to happen. They're going to have to give up too much. But I think Kyle Finnegan's a guy who who I think you should go after. I don't
Yeah,
think they're going to ask for. I don't think they're going to ask for too much. But yeah, I think you got to go after him.
and a preference for you. Who do you want? Do you want a top of the line starter or do you want a lockdown reliever? What is your first priority? A starter, a reliever, or a bat?
Well, no, not a bat. They don't need a bat, right? They're set. They're set with their bats. However,
Maybe a lefty off the bench, if anything.
yeah, maybe. Yeah, you're right. Maybe a lefty on the bench, but I don't want them that to be their only move of the deadline. Like I want them to buy make a big move and be like, we want to win the whole thing. As much as I think they need a starter, I think you need a reliever because Shota's coming back soon. The starter, you got Boyd, who's about to be under three. Shota, we obviously know, we know Shota's a dog. Cade Horton undefeated so far. And then Ben Brown looks really good this past weekend. So I would hope that this keeps up, right?
Mhm.
Um, so I think you got to go after a lockdown reliever. You got your closer Palencia, barring any injury, but I think you got to go after um a sixth, seventh inning guy.
Yeah, and some things I wanted to note. We'll segment the star and scar. Today's star was Matthew Boyd, and it was a great start that was wasted, in my opinion.
Yep,
And then the
completely agree.
star today, and I wrote this down, was the lineup. Not a lot of fight at the plate, especially with runners in scoring position. What do you got on that?
Yeah, I agree with you, especially with runners in scoring position, right? I believe you said 0 for 5
With runners, yeah.
with runners in scoring position going into that fifth inning, right?
I believe so. Yeah,
That's just
going into the
almost
fifth.
embarrassing.
Yeah, it was going into the
Like
fifth.
even yeah, like that's even if you have a deep fly ball, two deep fly balls that are outs in the first inning, it's 2-0, right?
Yeah, I
If you
know.
get a chopping ground ball, it's 1-0. Like anything really that isn't a hard ground ball that's fielded cleanly in the infield puts you up 1-0. So I
It was
agree with you on
it was 0 for
both.
5 within the game, but um, that just shows that their lack of hitting. I think they only got 4 hits on the night, I believe. Yeah,
Yeah.
Cubs got 5 hits. The Nationals had 4 hits. Like
Yeah, see,
if
I think
your
that's better.
opponents have 4 hits, that's a winnable ball game. I mean,
If
those are
your
the games you
opponents,
should win.
I'll come back to this again, and we're probably gonna keep coming back to it. If your pitcher has a perfect game going through the fifth inning, you out hit them. You can't lose a game, especially to a team who's 28-32 at the time. Obviously not 29-32, but that you just
A
can't
ball
lose those
club
kind of
around
games.
500, like
Yeah, yeah,
mediocre.
a little under 500.
Yeah, and kind of the turning point in that game was Rosario's home run that kind of switched the momentum. Like no bats going. Like I don't know. I
Yep.
thought this team had more fight tonight. Personally, they didn't. I didn't think they were in it to win it.
I don't think they left their hotel yet.
No. So yep, the Cubs will face the Nationals again tomorrow. 5:45 first pitch again Central Time. Drew Pomeranz will be the opener for the Cubs, assuming Colin Ray will come in after. I don't know if that for sure. if they'll. I don't know what the pitching plan is. I assume Colin Ray will pitch at some point. I don't know what it's gonna be. I don't know if they're gonna go Ben Brown tomorrow with an opener or if they're just gonna go Colin Ray Friday. I don't. All I know is Drew Pomeranz is starting. That's
Yeah,
all I
I was
know.
just yeah. So I think I don't necessarily think this is going to be a full bullpen game, right? I think who is it?
It's supposed to be
I think
Ray.
it's Colin. I was going to say it's Colin Ray's day, so I bet they're probably going to go Colin Ray.
Mm-hmm.
That would be my guess.
And Pomeranz on the year in 15 games is 2-0 with no runs allowed. 13.2 innings pitched, 15 strikeouts. Very good year for the Cubs so far. He's done his job. And for the Nationals, it's Jake Irvin, the 28-year-old, in 12 games on the year is 5-1 with a 3.93 ERA and 73.1 innings pitched with 47 strikeouts. So, what do the Cubs got to do to get some offense on Jake Irving?
Um, do what they didn't do today, right? Take
Yeah,
advantage when guys are in scoring position. Get up early in the ball game. Let your pitchers win the game. Just simple things like that
yeah.
are
I
gonna win the
mean,
games against teams like this.
in his last outing versus Arizona, he got the win, but he went 5 innings with 10 hits and 6 earned runs. But then versus San Francisco, probably a worse or similar team to Arizona, he went 8 innings, 3 hits, no runs. So but then versus Baltimore, he went 6.1 innings, 5 hits, 2 runs. So like he's kind of up and down. So he just had a really rough start, but got a win. But then he had an amazing start. So 3 of his wins have been in his last 3 outings. I just wanted to note that he's 3-0 in his past 3 games, but it's been up and down. So we'll see. One thing I did want to note, what is your thought on Council's usage in burning these guys out? Because believe John Birdie and Vidal Brujan have not seen any action in probably 2 weeks. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it, it's it's kind of tough because obviously John Birdie and Vidal Brujan are not hot bats, right? John Birdie actually is he's a fine bat, right? I believe in the Tokyo
Mm-hmm.
series he was 3 for 3, I think in
I
game
believe
one or
so.
two.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't think um he should really sit the bench as much as he does. Vidal Brujan is more of a pinch runner, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Birdie on the year's
but
hitting 224, so but only 76 at bats. So we haven't really seen much from him.
yeah, I think you got to throw him in the starting lineup. Like you got to give Nico a rest at some point.
You
Obviously,
got to give Matt
when we
Shaw
get
too, because they're playing Matt Shaw every day. Like, give
yeah,
the kid a break, honestly.
I agree. When you see the lineup card and you don't see your favorite player in the lineup, it's always kind of like oh, but they need off days, right? These guys are playing almost every day,
That's why
especially
they didn't
Matt
make the
Shaw.
playoffs in
I
twenty
believe, yeah,
twenty
we
three.
were
Yeah,
talking about it.
everyone was burnt
Yeah,
out. I mean, he played all those guys every game the last 4 months of the season. Like, I don't know, they gave as much as they could, and they had nothing to give in that last series. I mean,
yeah. It's like it's why Tom Thibodeau got let go by the Knicks, because
yeah,
he doesn't like his bench, right? Um, so I think that we need to see
yeah,
more of John Birdie in the starting lineup. I won't say Vidal Brujan in the starting lineup,
mm-hmm.
but I would like to see more of him
Yeah.
pinch running
Birdie did.
late.
Birdie did pinch run. I think
Yeah, he pinched on the
he
ninth, right?
pinch ran in the ninth, and Vidal came in when Tucker got hurt the other day. So they have seen some action, but no starting lineup.
But only because of injuries. Nothing out of
Yeah.
Council's personal choice.
Yeah, and another thing is the Reese McGuire usage. I think you should not play Carson Kelly every day because he was doing
Yep.
very good when he split games and only played every maybe 2 or 3 out of every 5. But he hasn't been the Carson Kelly that we saw in the first half or as good at the plate. I think we knew it was going to end at some point, but I think they
Yeah,
got to
he did.
give him some more off days or maybe even DH him. Like, for instance, today would have been a perfect day to DH Carson Kelly with Kyle Tucker not in the lineup, in my opinion. Catch McGuire today.
Yeah, I agree because now you got to go out and you got to win a series tomorrow, right?
Hmm.
So tomorrow is not really where you kind of experiment, right? You got to go out and you got to win the game. So I think today would have been a good Reese McGuire day, but like you said, they got to start splitting time more. We kind of covered this earlier in the week,
Yeah, we did.
yeah,
Some scores around the league: the Tigers beat the Sox 5-4 tonight. The Mets are beating the Dodgers in the bottom of the ninth 6-0, so dominating. Pete Alonso had two bombs. Griffin Canning with a great start. Mets are embarrassing the Dodgers. Rockies sweep the Marlins 3-2. Brewers win 9-1. We talked about the Red Sox Angels game 11-9. Talked about the Pirates game 3-0. The Guardians beat the Yankees 4-0. The Blue Jays beat the Phillies 2-1. D-backs beat the Braves 2-1. The Rays beat the Rangers 5-4. The Orioles beat the Mariners 3-2. The Giants beat the Padres 6-5. The Twins beat the Athletics 6-1. Ryan, do you want to go over some of the other divisions maybe and what those are looking like?
yeah. I will actually. I was taking a look at the Twins at Oakland game because I was thinking earlier in the year. I think late April, early May, the Athletics had a winning record.
Yeah, they did.
Um, so kind of a crazy, I don't want to say collapse, but I mean, 23-40 right now. So a rough one for them. I want to talk National League playoff picture because I know we're still very far away.
Uh,
But so right now the Cubs are tied for the one seed, right? They lose that
mhm,
tiebreaker. Right now, we might sweep them when they come here late in September, which could be a huge series.
mhm.
Um, so the Dodgers are going to lose again, which means they'll go down to a game and a half back. The Mets will obviously go to a half game up. But I mean, it is kind of crazy that either the Phillies or the Mets are going to have to play a wild card game because or play
San
in a wild
Diego
card
too.
series. Yeah, San Diego, right? I mean, even St. Louis. I mean, I won't say St. Louis's record is good enough to host, but we were seeing teams in 2023 and also last year at 82 and 80
Yeah,
to the
500
final week.
ball clubs that are making it. Like
Yeah.
this year,
So
you're gonna
it's
have to be, I think, five or s- 5, 6, 7 games over.
I'll
500.
say 80 85 wins is the absolute lowest you're gonna have to be in the race.
Yeah, I agree with that. Honestly, like I think it's a very competitive National League this year. Like if you look at the AL, I'll just look at the AL standings right now. I mean, the best team by far is the Tigers, but the Houston's 32-28, and that's about the same record as St. Louis. And they're in a division lead. And then the Yankees are at 37-23, which is a pretty impressive year. So you got two teams that are playing some great ball, and then you got one team that's just mediocre, and they're in the lead. Like I think the Cubs, if they would be leading every division in baseball except two.
Yeah, because right now, like, I don't really think there's any doubt in my mind. Obviously, I'm a fan, I want it to happen, but I don't really think there's any doubt in my mind that they're not going to win the division. Obviously, a lot can
Yeah,
change, but I just think that they're such a good ball club this year. The Brewers
yeah.
aren't as good as past years, but again, they're on a heater right now, so anything could change.
Hmm.
I think we see them in either a week or two.
2 weeks.
Yeah, so 2 weeks we see them at home, and then the Cardinals, they're playing well right now. So those two teams, I think, could give the Cubs a little trouble, but I think the Cubs will come on the end. And honestly, I think the Cubs won't be playing wild card week. I think they'll get a top two seed, and I think they will be able to host a division series.
All right, so my trivia question answer. I think it's a pretty easy one today. Who's the MVP of the 2016 World Series?
Ben Zobrist, of course. I'll never forget. I'll never forget watching him. Watching him in the locker room get the trophy, and I tell my dad and my mom this all the time. Like, I just really wish that I was born a little bit earlier to be
I
like my
remember.
age now.
Yeah,
To be because like I will never forget that day for the rest of my life.
for
But
sure.
I just think I didn't really understand because I grew up with the Blackhawks being good, and I didn't really understand that like this is such a gift, right?
To win a World Series for sure.
Um,
Once in a
to win a
lifetime.
World Series, yeah.
Yep. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in today to the Cubs Line podcast. Make sure to tune in tomorrow, as hopefully the Cubs get a series W. And yeah,